Hi guys, welcome back to We Are Tottenham TV. This is the post-match fan show with me, Barnaby Slater and Amir. We've been watching the game with the live watch-along and delighted to see that we won 3-1 at home against Nottingham Forest. A difficult kind of majority of the first half, but Big Ange made some important changes, brought on Pierre-Emile Højbjerg and Rodrigo Bentancur, and the second half, we basically bossed it. Amir, just before we get some of the fans on, I'm glad to see we've got some callers today. Overall, good result, gets us into that run of difficult games in good confidence.
Exactly that, Barnaby, exactly that. It puts us on a very good holding, fighting for that Champions League position with Villa dropping points. Gives us the confidence going into Villa. And overall,
going into Newcastle.
Newcastle, sorry, yeah. Battling Villa for fourth place, but going into Newcastle. And I was just really, really delighted to see that even though we took the knock of going 1-1, coming in at half-time a bit frustrated and annoyed, that we didn't let that hold us down. We came down, we played our football, we made the substitutions we needed to. We came out with a 3-1 victory. Very happy. Very good.
Before we get the callers on, should say rest in peace, Joe Kinnear, ex-Tottenham Hotspur fullback and Wimbledon manager, as well as kind of sporting director, football director of Newcastle at one point, but a real character in the game, particularly when I was growing up in my teenage years.
An overall nice guy of football, wasn't he? He's really known for being a really nice guy around.
He definitely got the crazy gang at Wimbledon playing some mad football. I remember there was a period where Spurs had to play them like 3 times in about a week and a half because we got them in the League Cup semi-final, and I always thought they were going to turn us over. But anyway, 3-1 win at home against Forest today. Huge, puts us back in the top 4. Let's talk to Brian first up. Brian, mate, how are you feeling over there?
Relieved. But it's good to see you guys, and big up to everyone in the chat. Good to see you, Barnaby. Amir, it's always a pleasure to see you. And before we get started, just like you said, rest in peace, Joe Kinnear. My dad used to tell me stories about him. Obviously, a big name in Tottenham Hotspur's history, and condolences to his family.
Top man. So you said you were relieved, Brian. Take us back to it. It was a good start, wasn't it, first 15 minutes? But then, as happens quite regularly at the moment at Spurs, we kind of lost our way. It doesn't seem like we're able to put together a consistent 90 minutes.
It's not even that, but what I thought as well, like West Ham, we took the early goal. I think West Ham, we scored a lot earlier. But going for top 4, I thought, right, now you put your foot on the accelerator and start putting these games to bed, ready to for the onslaught we have coming on. And like you said, after going ahead, we just looked a shell of ourselves, didn't we? I think the biggest thing for me is it's highlighting just how, for me, how vital it is as a necessity that the most important player we bring in the summer is an elite number 6. That is there to mop up. Should the wingers be inverted? Should our defence play that high line? We have to have a Paulinho or someone of that kind of nature, number 6 there to support the midfield, because it's worrying how open we could be. And you've got to remember, this was Nottingham Forest. If that was the Filth or Manchester City or Liverpool, teams like that will exploit these weaknesses over and over again. So the first half was very, very concerning.
Absolutely, and maybe it is. Before you even mentioned him, I was thinking, could it possibly even be Paulinho? We saw that Fulham nearly let him go to Bayern Munich last summer. Obviously, he hasn't signed a new contract since then, so the fee will be less, you'd think, or maybe similar to what they were offering if you think about the English club to English club tax. Is he someone you'd have top of the list?
For me, obviously, there's a Nana at Everton, and there's a couple other in Europe that's been mentioned, but for me, he is the one I would want. But I think what will happen with the club is, obviously, we have a way of not paying that amount of money for people at 28, 29, whatever. But I'm on the way that if this player will make a difference to the team and solve that issue, it needs to be done. Look at Robin van Persie when he went to United at 29, 30. They wanted to win the league. What they went and do? They went out and spent the money. All right, we're talking a lot less than what Paulinho would take to get out of Fulham, but they knew they needed a tip-top striker to get the job done. And Man U found the money, and the rest is history. But he is the one, I would say, but I don't see it happening solely because of his age, not the value.
I just want to ask one more question, then I'll let Mir go in. Do you envisage Pierre-Emile Højbjerg starting at St James's Park next week?
So do you know what? And I mentioned this on the reaction I did for our channel. You know those things you see on social media where people put like different colour bottles or whatever. You've got to try and match the right bottles with the right colour, and they'll say you've got one right. Then you start mixing the bottles about, and that's what's happening with our midfield right now. It's literally a conundrum, and it's showing how exposed we are, isn't it? I mean, forget the first game against Brentford. The next 9, where it was Basuma, Sarr, Maddison, we were purring, we were flying. It looked the complete midfield. There's just something not clicking in that midfield right now, is there? We're just trying to find the right combination. And Højbjerg certainly made a difference, but I think he has a much bigger impact when he starts compared to, when he comes off the bench to when he starts. But he did, put it this way, he did his chances no harm, and if he can perform like that, apart from near the end, then I would start him. In all honesty, I would.
And who would you partner there in the midfield? Because we saw Bentancur come on for Sarr. We know Sarr's been fantastic a lot of the season, but Bentancur really came on and changed that midfield. Who would you play alongside Højbjerg?
Them two look good together, Amir, don't they? Even last season, when them two were together, before Bentancur got his big injury at Leicester, them two looked perfect. There was no qualms with them being in the midfield. You know what it is with Sarr? I'm trying to work out if it's still his back injury that's niggling him, or let's face it, guys, he's in his first proper full season of playing week in, week out, non-stop. Exactly, has this finally, which, you know what, if it has, he's been magnificent for pretty much a majority of the season. He's a young kid. They are going to have this. So I don't know if it's a case of both, or it's still his back, or the games are catching up with him. But if it was Bentancur and Højbjerg, I wouldn't, put it this way, if against Newcastle, if that's what it is, I wouldn't be throwing my toys out the pram.
Yeah, it would be remiss of us not to ask you your thoughts on the 2 screaming goals that hit the roof of the net today. So tell us how you felt about those Van der Ven and Porro goals.
Listen, for me, Mickey Van der Ven is the best signing of the entire transfer window across the Premier League. I absolutely idolise that guy, and didn't know he had that in his locker. And that was, as soon as it left his foot, was an absolute screamer. But Pedro Porro, who's got a hammer of a right foot, as soon as that ball bounced, you knew exactly where. That was an absolute humdinger. It was a screamer. And you know what I love about Porro? It's not just his overall gameplay and everything that he does. It's his celebrations, it's his emotions, his reactions. Not only is he just understands what it is to be a Spurs player. He's adored by the fans, and rightfully so. I started the season never want to see him at right back, and my God, did I get that wrong. And I've been saying that after the United game. He's outstanding. Both brilliant goals. But I tell you what, we were lucky. We bring the pressure on at the end. We bring the trouble on ourselves, don't we?
We do. We do. It's always the case. It's always the case, Brian. But this time we managed to get out of jail. We got the 3 points.
Yep.
And we, the Spurs do go marching on up to St. James's Park. Just before we let you go, Brian, I'd like to know your thoughts on the Newcastle game. Can we go up there and bring back the 3 points?
Well, all I can say is every time I hear that name and that fixture, it's like someone's just walked across my grave, because I literally have flashbacks to what happened. Listen, Newcastle are decimated with injuries. Newcastle, if the Geordie faithful are up for it, it's always going to be a hard game, no matter what their injuries.
Always tough.
It's a nightmare of a fixture. And you know what? Again, the Premier League making the loyal and incredible 12th man strap up to Newcastle for a 12th, I almost said 7:30, which it is my time, 12:30 kickoff. It's a hard fixture. All I hope is we don't concede early, because if we concede early, then I fear. But we have to move on. And listen, with that win, top 4 is in our hands now. Only we can muck it up. And let's just hope we go to Newcastle and right the wrongs, the major wrong of last season.
Let's not go back to that one, Daigle.
I was just going to say, even if we concede early, surely we won't concede 5 early.
Surely not.
Yeah,
surely
I don't.
not.
Yeah, that I don't think will happen. That for sure. I think that's an anomaly. I can never say that.
An anomaly.
Yeah,
anomaly.
Thank you. I could have had 100 more guesses, and I wouldn't have got that right. Thank you for saving me there. Yeah, let's just hope we right the wrongs. It's a tough place to go to, but listen. Right now, what we do know, the games are coming thick and fast. Right now, if we look at it, I don't want to hear... Listen, the fixture list hasn't been kind to us in the way they've been rearranged, but I don't want to hear that we've been tired, we're knackered, this ain't fair. We've had all season of 1 game a week. We got 2 weeks before the Arsenal game. we should be raring to go for the excuse of
100%.
being tired or whatever, or
100%.
the game's thick and fast. It don't wash with me. We've had all season to prepare. The long run is coming. Hopefully, we're in Europe, where back-to-back games are going to be back and regular. This is a moment now where we need to stand up and be counted. And if you remember last time it was something like this, was when we had to play Arsenal and Chelsea back-to-back, and Danny Rose scored that goal, Bale destroyed Chelsea, and then we went to Man City, and Crouch got that goal, and the rest is history. So hopefully we can do that and rise to the challenge, but we'll have to wait and see. You never know with Tottenham, but we can only hope.
Come on.
I don't know what you heard there, Amir, but I heard from Brian that he thinks Timo Werner is going to destroy all of those teams single-handedly.
Easily.
You know, Barnaby, you know what it is with him. You know what it is with him. When we signed him, I was a huge fan, and I was like, well done. I think that's an inspired signing. If we play a low block, or against a low block, should I say, he can't do what he's best at and expose everyone with his pace. He got away a few times. Obviously, he got the won't be classed as assist because it's for an own goal. Yeah. But the amount of times he gets into good positions, and then his final ball, it's hit and miss. He did that second half one, went right across the goal, which was an exceptional cross, and no one's there. And when there are people there, he hits the first man. He's got to work on that. But if people play a high line, he can do so much damage. He's just got to work on that final ball.
Yeah, Roy Keane, we just saw an interview with Roy Keane, and he said, you know, whatever you say about him and his final delivery in terms of shooting not being great, he said he does affect games. And that's what I'd say as well. I'd say he does definitely affect games. Anyway, Brian, thanks so much for calling, mate. Enjoy the rest of your day. 3 important points. Roll on to St. James's.
See you later on, guys. Amir, we'll speak soon, brother.
Have
a good Sunday, everyone.
See you, Brian.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Cheers, man. Before we get the next caller on, let's go to the comments a little bit. Tekers Mbappe says VDV could become the best centre-back in the world within the next couple of seasons. That is not actually the most outrageous claim.
It's not.
And what I'd say about Van der Ven, you know, as well as his natural gifts and talent and work ethic, he's absolutely playing for the right club for his style of play as well.
100%.
If he was playing, 100%. You know, if he'd been bought by like a deep block team, they'd be wondering why he's not, because one of the things he's not brilliant at is like for his size, like he's not like amazing in the air. So some fans might be like, oh, he's not amazing in the air, but for Ange's team, for his attributes, the perfect signing.
The pace he has coming back. I mean, you know, he can leave players a yard or two away from him, and he will make up that ground every single time. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I've said it over and over again. He's the first player we've had since Moussa Dembele where every time he's in a 50-50 kind of challenge, I'm like, not worried at all. Yeah. Okay, Ross is there with his Spurs cap in his kitchen. Always good to see someone's kitchen. Ross, how are you feeling after that game, mate?
I'm feeling pretty good. Yeah, the kitchen here. You can see downtown Seattle right over here if you don't show up.
Nice.
Yeah,
there you go. So that's a little bit better view there. But yeah, I just will say they had us in the first half, not going to lie. Second half FC strikes again. But we got it buckled down, brought it in. Højbjerg, I mean, I can't say enough. I mean, I was saying that. This game is crying out for that guy. We need that stopper. That, you know, we just weren't. The midfield there just wasn't, you know, getting that stop in there. And he came in and did what he does best, provided that stopper to cut those passes out and really help along. So he was, I would almost say he's the man of the match for me because he just completely changed the game.
Do you know what? I was thinking something similar. I think, you know, Sky gave man of the match to Van der Ven, and I kind of agree with that. But I think in terms of who affected the match and changed it to Spurs' benefit, I would go with you, with Pierre-Emile Højbjerg there. Who else kind of do you feel was vital towards that 3-1 victory today, Ross?
Oh, a lot of folks. I mean, you know, obviously you got to touch on Van de Ven and Porro. I mean, what a pair of goals there. I mean, Van de Ven, it was this. I was watching. I'm like, oh, we're just moving the ball around the box again. Ah, you know, what a screamer, man. Mickey Van der Worldy, man. I mean, that was a worldy. And so great to see Pedro get a goal in the league. I mean, he had that screamer in the cup, but you know, he just works so hard at it, and he's so passionate. He loves the club so much, and it's great to see that, and great to see guys other than the forwards getting goals too, because we're going to need that. You got to have that. You can't just be relying on your guys up top. You got to have other guys scoring goals. So them for sure. You know, I have to give Werner a little bit of props. I mean, the guy he gets into positions. He gets down there, beats his guy down. Everybody's like, oh, the end product scoring goals. He's not here to score goals. That's not what we brought him in for. He's doing exactly what we brought him in to do. Get down there, get that ball in the box. Maybe something's there, maybe something's not. But that's what he's here to do. The goals, whatever goals we get, that's just a bonus.
Yeah, completely agree. Really, really hard agree there. Looking ahead to Newcastle next week, how do you see that game kind of panning out?
Man, you can say all you want about Newcastle and their injury problems, and they're decimated. And, we thought we had injury problems. They've just had a terrible run. But St. James is always tough. Always tough. Doesn't matter what their record is or anything. They get there in front of that home crowd, and those Geordies get going, and it's tough. It's a tough place to play. That's a fortress. So we're really going to have our work cut out with that. But again, if we can play like we played in the second half, play our style, get on the front foot, not get beat defensively as much, then we got a chance. We got a chance against anybody.
Yeah, I just saw actually on the TV in my peripheral vision there. I hadn't realized, but actually next week when we go to Newcastle in the early game, that weekend, Villa play Arsenal away.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a no-lose situation for us. Like if Villa get pumped, then that's good for us in terms of the fourth place. But if Villa can get something at Arsenal, I'm afraid I'm absolutely terrified at the moment that Arsenal are going to win every game and lift the Premier League.
I'm not worried at all about Arsenal. All these worries, I don't know. I don't know where you are on it, Ross. I'm not even sweating them. I'm focused on what we need to do.
It seems like people are laying down for him. I mean, it's like, come on. You guys can't get a result again. I mean, I have to say, even though we hate them, even though they're our hated rival, they have been playing well. I got to give them props on that. But they haven't exactly. Yeah, I mean, they haven't exactly just really lit it on fire. It's just they play a team, and it's like, really? I mean,
do you not think they get decisions as well, Ross? We saw yesterday with the penalty, to get them going yesterday. I mean, didn't Lamptey get part of the ball there?
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like that too. But again, we got to just worry about us. We can't be concerned about that, and we're going to have our day against them in a couple of weeks, and we just got to take care of business.
I think that's exactly what's going to happen, Ross, and I can't wait for that day where we're going to take care of business. That's going to be a beautiful sight to be seen. One thing I wanted to hear from you, Ross, is your thoughts on our main man, Ange Postecoglou. How do you think he did today with his subs and overall his game management?
He did great. I mean, he's always done well. I mean, he plays his style. He says, this is the way we're going to play, and this is what we're going to do, and we're going to stick to that. And that's important. And I know he's going to get criticism, especially when we're not playing well. And, fair enough. Everybody can have their opinion about it. But the guy, he's transformed this club. He has changed the culture of this club. I mean, it's evident to anyone. I mean, if you pay any little bit of attention. I mean, he just says the right things. He's here to work on it. He's not just kind of a hired gun doing us a favor like Conte or Mourinho kind of were. He's here. He's invested, and he's here to make it work. And we're doing great. I mean, I thought we'd be lucky to get into Conference League spot beginning of the year, and look at us now. We're 3 points clear in fourth in April.
No, it's got to be said. If you think about how important Harry Kane was to us, everything for the last decade has gone through Harry Kane. It's not as simple as just, Ange having to change the philosophy of the club. It's like having to change the philosophy of each player. Bar the players who hadn't played for the first team before, going through one singular way of playing. So Roy Keane said it after the game on Sky. He says he thinks Ange has done an incredible job, and I do too. James Maddison today, Ross, again, kind of came off. He got a good ovation from the crowd. It feels to me like he's not quite at his top form, but he's really striving to get there. How do you feel?
I would agree with that. I mean, he seems like he's been a little off. Early in the season, he was our locksmith. He was the one that was, unlocking things, making those plays, kind of doing what Harry did for us. Pinging those balls in. It's not American, like a quarterback. Like we're doing American football. Finding those people to get the passes to. I don't know if he's got a bit of a knock or something that he's playing through. Maybe could be. That's what my guess might be. That. Just hasn't quite gotten back into the groove since he's been hurt. But I mean, he did a lot of other things, and kind of as the game came on, he really did a lot of things and was doing some of the other little things that you could do. But I'm not particularly worried about him. He'll come good. He's too good of a player not to, I think.
Top man. Okay, Ross, before you go, I'm going to ask you for a prediction for next week's game at St. James's Park.
Ooh, I'm going to say 3-2 Spurs. I think maybe we'll squeak one.
I'll take that. I'll take that,
I think
Ross.
they're going to be
I'll
goals.
bite
there.
your hand off for that, Ross.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think they're going to be goals. Ross, thanks so much for calling in. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, mate. Enjoy the 3 points. We'll speak to you next time.
Great.
Take
Come
care,
on, you
Ross.
Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs. Top man. Ryan Isaacs, one of our members, has written in saying halftime subs changed the game and is learning. That is to suggest that maybe his subs hadn't been great before. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's a fair point by Ryan. To be honest, I think there have been games there where you can think back to Everton, where Everton away, and he didn't make a sub to maybe shore things up and get us over the line. So I do think this is huge for Ange. I can remember a few other games where I think, okay, he's made the right subs at halftime as well. So it's not the first game he's done it, but it's one that is very, very obvious. You know, the midfield wasn't quite working in that first half. You know, we had a comment, the guy said the whole 3 midfielders needed a change. So he went for 2 out of the 3 and it worked perfectly for him.
Yeah, just want to say during the half-time when we were drawing 1-1, loads of Aston Villa fans in the chat. None to be seen right now, it's fair to say. And I also wanted, just before we get our next caller on, I want to bring one thing up for you. What did you think of Morgan Gibbs-White's performance today? Because he's been talked about as a possible signing for Spurs, as another kind of potential creative player, maybe if Gio were to go. What did you think of his performance? And he's
impressed.
You weren't?
No. Wasn't impressed by Gibbs-White. Got a bit tasty with Bentancur and then came off with a little niggle. He showed me some pace.
Yeah,
he showed some,
tenacity,
some want to get forward, but overall he didn't really affect the game that much. And yeah, I'm not convinced either way, yes or no. I think time will still tell with him, but there's plenty of other players that we should be looking at around Europe, that's for sure.
Okay, guys, let us know in the comments what you thought of Morgan Gibbs-White today. Next caller, Aaron. How are you doing, mate? Good to see you. Oh, are you on mute, Aaron? There you go. Yeah, we got you now. Go again, Aaron.
I'm doing really well. I'm glad that we won a game by more than just 1 goal.
Yeah.
It seems like every game it's always just a 1 goal difference, but yeah, I'm pretty happy with the result overall.
Do you agree with one of our previous callers, and Amir's been saying it too, that really what we've seen in the last few games is how important having a kind of top level number 6 is, and that Højbjerg did a good job kind of shoring us up today, and you think that's going to be huge in us kind of keeping more clean sheets next season?
Oh, definitely. I mean, the number 6 is a huge position. Whoever's playing the number 6 needs to break down the opposition's midfield. I mean, that's his role, and especially defensively. And I think Højbjerg did an okay job doing that. I think towards the end he was getting a little sloppy with his passing, almost gave away a goal.
Yeah.
But definitely a good number 6 is always a good thing to have on a team.
Oh, 100%. 100%. I think it's key. I was actually saying to Barnaby that if we have a top-level number 6 on the books at Spurs, it can maybe even reduce the goals conceded by like 15 or 20 goals a season, having that right player in there. I'm just hoping that Ange sees that, and either we figure it out with the players that we've got, Bissouma, Højbjerg, or if need be, we spend the money and bring in, top quality, world-class quality number 6. In terms of other positions around the pitch, Aaron, are there any other places that you think we need to strengthen in that first 11?
I mean, I think we've talked about this a million times with like having a good striker, just someone who can consistently score goals, kind of like how Harry Kane was. Yeah. But that's going to be hard to come by anyway, and there's no guarantees. There's no guarantees with that, and I like how, Ange is kind of like making everyone responsible for getting a goal.
True.
There's been we've had so many different goal scorers this season. It hasn't just been one player the whole way through, and that's definitely a way to do it. But like I do think we should try and find someone who can guarantee us more goals.
Okay, no, I hear that. And today, in terms of man of the match, we've heard a few people saying Mickey van der Ven. We've heard a few people going with Højbjerg. Who for you was your man of the match?
Oh, Van de Ven. And it's not even because of the goal that he scored. he's just a very solid defender. I mean, his pace, you think that the opposition can score a goal, and then he comes out of nowhere and
unbelievable
and breaks that down pretty quickly. And I think he did a great job defensively, and of course the goal really just put him right into my man of the match.
Oh yeah, well he showed our wingers and midfielders how to shoot. Bissouma was having pot shot after pot shot in the first half, wasn't putting them on target, and here comes Mickey steamrolling, thunderbolt into the corner. Absolutely fantastic. Aaron, how do you feel Ange did today in terms of his game management?
I think he did a brilliant job. I mean, my only question was with the Højbjerg thing. I was, when he subbed him in, I was a little like, he hasn't done well, and when he has played, and he hasn't played a whole lot of minutes, but it seemed to work out well for us in the second half. The midfielders that we had in the first half just, they just weren't having a good day at the office, and we definitely needed to switch that out. So I think he did a great job today.
Okay, and looking ahead to Newcastle Saturday, 12:30 our time, presumably pretty early your time. What do you think is going to happen at St James's Park?
Well, I think we should win. I think we are the better side, and I know St James is not the easiest place to play at, but I don't give a shit if we're playing at St James, at home, or on the streets. We're a better team than them, and I think we should come out with a win. And I think it's going to be 3-2.
Come on, Aaron. That's the spirit.
I agree with you, Aaron. I'm just going to say this just to play devil's advocate. If we go to St James's Park and play with any level of complacency, like we did, for instance, going to Fulham, then we'll get absolutely dicked.
Barnaby, why did you have to do that? We were on such a high. Aaron,
what I'm saying is, I'm hoping that because of what happened at Fulham has happened already, Ange will get into them before the game and be like, you've got to be completely at it, otherwise this place will swamp you. So that's what I'm saying. I agree with Aaron. I think we've got what it takes. I think they've got defensive problems up the wazoo. I know that your man Botman is out for the rest of the season. Trippier's struggling. Joe Linton is out. I think Joe Linton is absolutely key to how they tick. Tonali obviously loves a gamble. Who doesn't? But, so if we can, we can absolutely win there. But also, if we let them get on top of us, we could get swamped. So, Aaron, what you didn't do is give me an actual score prediction, though.
Oh yeah, I think we'll win 3-2. I think it'll be close, but I think we'll come away with it. Yeah.
Our second 3-2 of the day. Thank you so much for calling in, mate. Enjoy the rest of your weekend and your week. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, Tottenham. Come on.
Okay, I'll just get a little bit back into the comments. Let's have a look here. Charles Preston, one of our members, thanks Charles, says, stop slandering Richarlison. Boring yawn. I don't know if anyone is slandering Richarlison. He's not fit really at the moment. He went on that great run, and I think when he's fit, he will get chances again.
Listen, and I want to put this into perspective for people. Richie is a player that I didn't want at Tottenham before we signed him. I wasn't happy when we spent all the money we did on him, but he's actually won me over as a player. His heart, his mentality, his goals now that he's managing to add on to his repertoire. And, I was up at Goodison Park for Everton, and that game was the game that proved to me he can score top quality goals. They were both from the highest draw of goals. So for me, Richie's someone who's going to play a vital part going into the end of the season and next season.
Completely agree. DYT2 says, I think we're signing Timo. We've started him a lot. Well, I've been saying for a while now, it would not surprise me if we sign him at all. I think we'll struggle to get someone to give us that much strong squad depth at that kind of price.
And I tell you what, with Manor Solomon coming back from his long-term injury, if we have Manor and Werner there on the left, as those are our choices, I'm quite happy with that going into a season.
And Son, of course, as a choice. And Richarlison as a choice.
Yeah, as extra choices. But if it's just those two and keep Sonny and Richie up top, I quite like that.
I think Ange said out loud and proven that he loves to have players who offer different options in lots of different positions, and all of those count for that. Ewan McNamee says, I think Van de Ven might be better than Ledley King, not even hyperbole.
Ooh, careful.
Listen, all that we can hope is that Mickey van der Ven doesn't have the same kind of injury problems that Ledley King did. I would settle for that at the moment, but to say he's a talent is an understatement.
And we need somebody with 2 good hamstrings. We can't have another player with 1 knee good, 1 knee bad, because as good as Ledley was, you know, he was out for 30% of the games.
Well, he didn't train.
Didn't even train.
He didn't train after he was 25. Pretty much, he was mostly in a swimming pool 4 days a week. Okay, next up, Ariane. How are you, mate? Good to see you. Thank you for calling in. How are you feeling about that big win for Spurs?
Pretty happy. I think, you know, it was going to be a difficult game because Forest had one of the best defensive records in terms of XG conceded or something like that in the new year. But I think we kind of laid them out pretty well. Especially in the second half. I think from when we scored, or from when the game started to when we scored right before they scored, we were great. And then after that, we were shit, completely shit. We could have gone 2 or 3-1 down, honestly, and I wouldn't have been that surprised just because our performance levels were really horrible in the second half of the first half. But in the second half, I think Ange made exactly the right substitutions. I think the game plan, you know, and what we've all been calling for, just hit the ball.
Yeah.
You know, and it paid out.
Yeah, and actually Ange alluded in his post-match interview that he'd been talking to them about trying to have some more composure and getting more shots off. So that was great to see. Rambro has written a super chat saying, good win, some shaky spots, but generally we did what we're supposed to do against this level of opposition. Ariane, would you agree with that, in that it's just one of those games where you've got to find a way to win it? And actually in the second half, as you mentioned, we got a lot more control from those substitutions. What could he have done differently in the first half, do you think, to mean that we weren't quite so frustrated at halftime?
I don't necessarily think you could have really I don't think he made a poor decision going into the game. The only thing and maybe it's a bit strange given how, the good form of the front three. I would have maybe started Kulusevski in this game. I feel like he's well suited to a game like this. I think he scored last time we played against them. He doesn't, he doesn't bring in Johnson's pace and really even his final ball, but I think the physical presence he has. I think Johnson, this is one of his more invisible performances in the last few games, just because I don't think he's quite that suited to. He did have a couple of good moments, and there was one where he almost assisted Son, and he should have scored if it wasn't for a great save. But besides those moments, which, if he does that, he ends the game with a goal and assist, so maybe it's just fine margins. I think Kulusevski was a little bit more suited to this game than maybe Johnson would have been. That's the only change I would have made, but even then, like I said, I don't really know if that would have made that much of a difference. I don't think he approached the game poorly. I don't think he made any wrong decisions per se. We went to the break level. I think 1-1 or 2-2 would have been a more than fair scoreline, so I don't think either team could really complain about the score, and he made exactly the right changes, and Nuno was completely outmatched.
Yeah, I completely agree with that, Ariane. And I also think that Ange, in terms of his game management, got it spot on for me today with his subs. How do you feel those subs impacted the game? And does Ange Postecoglou actually know his best midfield?
Does he know his best midfield? First of all, I think the subs, perfect, literally perfect. And really up until maybe the last 10 minutes, I would have given Højbjerg a 10 out of 10. I really would have. Last 10 minutes, he was a little shaky. But, that could be forgiven just because of how much he changed the game for us.
He did.
Had a couple shots, created some chances, just was the destroyer that we haven't seen since, COVID. And, yeah, he was perfect in midfield, perfect subs. But I think that the question of does Ange know his best midfield is really tricky because let's take Højbjerg, for example, right? Mm-hmm. He still hasn't had a good game for me where he's starting. Every single good performance he's had has been off the bench, and there's been several times where he comes off the bench, has a wonderful game, and then he starts and he shits the bed. And we kind of saw a little bit of it towards the end of this game. Came on, wonderful game, 30 minutes later, horrible. Last 10 minutes he was horrible. And, maybe Bentancur is starting to kind of look a little bit like the Bentancur of old now, I've noticed. So, again, does he come in over Sarr? I don't know. Sarr was kind of invisible this game. He wasn't great last game. Does that mean bench him immediately? Or, I don't think so. Do we start both of them and then start Madison? Because Madison's off form. Lo Celso is a little bit on and off here. Kulusevski, is he better in the mid? So I don't think he knows his best midfield. I struggle to. It's almost difficult to know if we have one, if we have a best midfield, because every single game kind of has its own little set of requirements. Sarr brings in the best athleticism. Madison and Kulusevski together could probably work in certain games. Lo Celso as well, he definitely has a place in there somewhere. Højbjerg has a place off the bench, so it's really difficult to kind of pinpoint the best midfield, especially starting, because some players, like I said, Højbjerg, he performs night and day when he comes off the bench versus when he starts. So it's almost like an impossible question for me.
Yeah, I think for me, it's almost as if Højbjerg prefers that he's got more space when he comes on at half time, because the players are a little bit more fatigued than they are at the start. And that kind of allows him to feel a bit more confident in doing what he's being asked to do by Ange, which is to play those kind of between the lines balls and some diags and stuff like that. And then towards the end today, actually, I just thought he kind of, this is the wrong phrase, but it's the best I've got, which is like almost started to believe his own hype a bit, and showed for a ball off Vicario and thought to himself, oh, I can play this first time left foot across my own box. And actually, mate, it's like, no, you can't. Actually, it would be better if you just play that either don't come for it or play it straight back to Vicario so he can hit it long. But look, I do think he had a great game. We've talked to a few of our callers already about Werner. How did you feel about Timo today? Got a really good ovation from the crowd as he went off.
I love Werner. I think he's been outstanding. I think a lot of the problems people have had with Werner, there's been two main things. First of all, if his name was anything besides Timo Werner, everybody and their dog would be saying sign this guy. That's the first thing. If his name was anything except Timo Werner, everybody would be calling for us to sign him. Number one. Second of all, is I've seen some people finally admit that, okay, he has been impressive. But what he's doing is simple, and it's not, we still need an upgrade, and it's like, so he's doing the simple stuff. It's effective. It's easy on the eyes. It's getting us results. He's doing exactly what he's asked for, and yeah, we might need an upgrade. He is a £15 million, which is in this market pennies, literal pennies. We paid. Well, I think we paid the same for Alejo Veliz, if I'm not wrong. So you have, or was it more? I forget exactly how much it was.
No, you could be right.
Yeah, it's roughly there. Right, it's roughly there for Veliz. Maybe
right.
12.
So for the exact same fee of Alejo Veliz, we're getting someone who's currently starting week in, week out, currently making a massive impact on how we attack, and currently playing, simple football, which is working perfectly. What else do you want him to do? Do you want him to do complicated shit and lose the ball constantly, like Bissouma does in midfield, who we always slander? Is that what we want?
No, it's not what I want at all. It's not what I want at all, Ariane. And to be honest with you, I think football, when you break it down, is quite a simple game. So the fact that he does the simple things well, for me, just shows me that he's a good footballer.
Can I add one thing as well? I'd like to add one thing as well, which I haven't really thought of today, until today. Werner is so clearly a confidence player, and at the moment he feels confident enough to get down the left and get crosses in and whatever. His finishing isn't there, but what I don't think can probably help his finishing is right now he's literally playing for a contract. He wants to sign for this club. He feels the pressure of, I've got to do it right, I've got to get it right every time, and that's going to be, even if it's subconsciously or a millisecond in his head making a difference. If we were to sign him on a deal and get that affirmation into him as, we believe in you, then it may well be that after a good pre-season, getting to know the club more, getting to know the players more, that actually his finishing really improves as well. And let's not forget, his finishing, he's missed some big chances, but he's also scored a few goals.
He has. His numbers are all right since he's come in. Assists and goals-wise, he's been doing all right.
Tom Thacker in the comments says Werner should not be bought. So look, Danny Kiriakou says Werner is average. So look, not everyone agrees, but that's the beauty of football.
Danny Kiriakou is a bit of a. We all know how Danny Kiriakou can be. I mean,
okay, we're not gonna make this into a troll off, but I'm just saying, like, the beauty of football is that it's subjective. We're all allowed our own opinions, but I just feel strongly that, as it sounds like you do, mate, that for 15.5 million, I don't think we're going to get anything better than what he will offer us in terms of squad depth, as I've said many times. So, what is your prediction for the Newcastle game next week?
4-2. Spurs.
For 4-2.
I think it's going to be a goal fest.
Come on.
Yeah.
Probably kind of like what he said, 3-2. I just think maybe it's going to be 3-2 and then in the 93rd minute, we just get kind of something to kill it off. Hopefully. Both teams having problems right now, so yeah.
Yeah, I hope it's like the Villa game where, we feel like it's going to be one of the hardest games, but actually we get a goal or two and get the crowd turn against them. Mate, thank you so much for calling in again. Make sure you call in after the Newcastle game next weekend and enjoy the rest of your week.
Take care, Ariane. Have a good week, brother.
And as always, come on, you Spurs!
Top man. J Max says, I like Werner, but needs to do more if he wants to stay. Bit timid at times. but he has made contributions.
I get that, but the same could be said for Johnson. At times he's looked timid, sometimes he's looked a bit off it, and at the end of the day, when you like you said, Barnaby, you back your players, right?
Yeah.
Johnson is our player. We wanted him. We put the money down, big money. We want him. We're gonna play him. We're gonna keep our faith in him. And he's repaid us with what? How many goals now? Is it 6 or 7? I don't know.
No,
exactly.
It's not as many as that, but he scored well. Mohammed says, trust me, Werner will show something in the Newcastle game. Now, what I feel like we're missing from this show so far is a man reclining in what looks like on his porch or in his garden. It's Philly. How are you doing, mate? How did you feel about today's game?
Hey, what's up, guys? Another roller coaster today. What'd you guys think?
Oh, big time.
Look, for me, just delighted to have got the 3 points. It felt more comfortable in the second half than it's felt watching Spurs for quite a while, maybe since that Villa game. And it was good to see, for me, Pierre-Emile Højbjerg come in and really show how important that position is. And maybe there are some legs still in him as a Spurs player. I don't know if realistically we'll see him past the summer, but he's shown for me how important getting the right player in that position is. And maybe Bissouma needs, a few of our players this season have benefited from having a bit of a rest. And maybe Bissouma needs to go out of the team and see it from the sidelines for a bit. But I don't know. You let us know what you thought, Philly.
Yeah, no, I think Højbjerg is one player who definitely deserves a shout out today. I'm just glad to hear some positivity because, man, at halftime, there was a lot of negativity in the We Are Tottenham TV studio.
There was.
You guys were stressed.
It was a frustrating second half of that first half, I thought. We just kind of allowed them to get momentum in the game, grow their own confidence, and really, as Amir said a couple of times, you get the first goal in a game like that, you've got the 60,000 people behind you, put your foot on their throat.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for, Philly, because I know we can go 1-0 up. I know we can go 1-0 down and come back and win like we did against Luton. Yeah. I know what we can do in terms of that. But what I haven't seen enough of this season, I can only think of maybe 1 or 2 games where we've really slayed the dragon. Villa, Burnley, the kind of only ones that are really popping up in my mind. But that's what I want to see. Us take the sword, slay the dragon, get the second goal, let us relax a bit, and then let us go into the second half and just play the football, play them off the park. Right? But, like you said, it's a roller coaster with us. We had to let them get back in the game. So I'm with
It's Barnaby. A roller coaster.
It is a roller coaster.
Yeah, it's a new regime. This season has been, you never know what to expect every game, and so a few things I want to say. I want to say Pochettino in. I want to see Thomas Frank in.
Come on,
I want to say Chris Wood blasting it off the post. Chris Wood in. Thank you, sir.
Come on, Chris Wood.
And then Mickey for the win. Mickey Van der Ven, he can score goals.
Yeah.
What?
He can do anything. He can do anything.
Oh my God.
If you've got any flights from Philly to London, he'll be flying the plane.
Yeah. What a player.
Exactly.
He can do everything.
What a player. Actually, Philly, you just mentioned something that I haven't mentioned, or I did mention after the last game, which is how easy it is to forget that pretty much in every game, Vicario makes at least one save that is vital to the result.
Oh my gosh.
And today, that save, I mean, I know Chris Wood missed the rebound, but the first save, as Amir said, I'd already said it was a goal because I was so sure he wouldn't be able to get across to that. He gets down so well for a big man.
Oh my gosh. He gets to that bottom corner like quicker than, oh my goodness. I just know, Hugo was amazing. He was the cat. He had the reflexes, but being 6'5" doesn't hurt anybody. You know what I mean? Getting down to those low corners. You're right. I mean, he had a couple saves like that in the last game. And we need somebody who can be tough as nails, considering no matter how far up we are in the game, the other team is going to get fast breaks. They're going to get shots. And we got to have somebody stalwart back there between the posts.
Yeah, completely agree. Donna, the number one, has just said something that maybe I should have said. 505 people watching this stream, but only 10007 likes. So make sure you press those likes on here. Give your likes for some. Give some love to Philly. So Philly, other than the people we talked about today, who impressed you, and who's gonna start in that midfield against Newcastle? Do you think?
I think the good news is we got Ange Postecoglou in charge, and I think he's learning. I think right now everybody needs to turn the hate dial all the way down. We got to get behind the boys.
Come on.
Højbjerg has been crucial in so many games. Højbjerg has come in and just helped us hold on to wins. He has something that Basuma, Bentancur, all our other center mids don't have. He's a cleanup man, he's a dustman, and he has the long balls. So just back off of Højbjerg. Kulu is not having the best form of his life right now. But, I mean, we had 10 games at the beginning of the season where he was a part of the best start that we've seen in years. So get off his back. There's only one ginger from Sweden, all right, who has my heart, okay? And we need to back him and give our attacking players some confidence when they are not at their best, because form comes and goes. But he's going to keep showing because I mean, Kulu's a guy who just puts in 1,000,000%. And then the same thing for Basuma. How long have we been saying this season, take shots from outside, take shots from outside? And finally, the only man who does it is Basuma. Maybe he's not the one maybe I'd rather see Madison or Porro or Sonny take those shots. But, like, for Christ's sake, at least he's putting the pressure on the Forest defense today. And then to hear that he got booed for missing one pass, come on, man. You know what it's like playing in a game, and you're trying to thread the needle. You're trying to kind of connect the ball on a fast break, and time after time, your ball is a little bit behind your teammate or a little bit too far, and it rolls out of bounds. Like, that gets in your head. And of all players, you know Basuma is a confidence player. No matter who, the haters need to calm down and back the team through these difficult times. It's a change of regime. We're going to be up and down on this roller coaster. We have to be positive as supporters.
Philly, as I've said before, that is some dangerous common sense that you've come out with there. That will not be appreciated on the internet, but we love it in this,
I appreciate
it. I completely understand what you're saying.
I'll win the internet back. I can win the internet back. There's only one man who needs to be hated in this club, and it's not Højbjerg, it's not Kulu, it's not Basuma. You know, we're looking right now. We have like the best squad depth. Imagine Pochettino having Bentancur, Lo Celso, and Højbjerg to come off the bench. We were in a Champions League final with Winks and Sissoko.
It's true. It's very true what you're saying, Philly. It is true.
So,
and you know what?
Back to oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, when we were looking at that bench earlier, me and Barnaby, we were like, wow, there's some tasty players there to come off and influence the game, eh?
Bentancur is a maestro. And the fact that he can come off the bench after watching the game progress a little bit and kind of understand how Nottingham plays. Like, Sarr is amazing. He's got legs for days. But Bentancur has that maturity, and he just kind of – his decision-making is on another level. We're talking about a man from Juventus. We're talking about a man from Boca. This is football heritage, and we got him coming off the bench.
It's true.
You know what I mean?
It's very true.
It's crazy.
Very true.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You just had someone video bombing you. There we go. We got a dog in. Here we go. Loving it. Who's this?
Number one Spurs fan.
Come on, Yeedo.
Love it. Listen, Philly, thank you so much for calling in, mate. Make sure you give us a call in after the Newcastle game on Saturday. Just give me a prediction for that game before you go.
Well, yeah, all I want to say is that I don't know who like the midfield should be, but we need to trust Ange to change it up every game. I think the squad has to fit the occasion. It's got to fit the occasion, and we got to trust Ange that he's learning along the way. Okay, I don't think Ange has done anything wrong this season except say that we don't want a $100 million player, because right now our squad is so set. Okay, but we need some change makers. We just sold the greatest goal scorer that England has ever seen. Yeah. Why can't we expect a player of that caliber to come back when we have cut senior concessions, when there's 30 events a year at the damn stadium? You know the ticket prices are going to go up in another couple of years. They got a hotel going up. What other ways do they need to take money out of North London, out of the Spurs supporters who have been through the mud, before we can see like some excitement coming in? I mean, Madison, I did not think we could get a player like Madison in, and I was proven wrong, and I hope I'm proven wrong again in the summer. Unfortunately, I do not know what to expect in Newcastle. Luckily, their injury crisis has continued where ours have tapered off. I'm going to go with the old Barnaby 2-2 because we know when we guess 2-2, Barnaby,
that's right.
We're gonna drill them 5-1 away, but it's 2-2. It's 2-2.
Top man, Philly. Top man, thank you for calling in. Really appreciate that. Speak to you after the Newcastle game, hopefully.
Come on, you Spurs.
Top man.
Take care. Good
and
week,
a dog
Philly,
in the
mate.
background. It's probably worth, after what Philly just said, bringing up very briefly the financial results that were released this week. It's interesting to me. Obviously, the revenue has just gone over £500 million for the first time. I think it puts us in terms of revenue second behind Man United in the country, and that is still there. But also important not to forget that our losses in the last year were 85 million still. So although they found ways to kind of offset that in terms of profit and sustainability rules, it's still not as simple as, oh, the stadium is making loads of money, so we have loads of cash flow. Daniel Levy has come out and said, we don't have any equity at the moment. That's why we're looking at trying to get someone to come in and release some cash. We have the opportunity to spend lots of cash, but we don't have it. And the reason we don't have it is because we're still only 5 years into paying off that stadium. We're not 20 years in where Arsenal are, and that's why they were able to build, to spend £100 million on a player. But obviously there are lots of different arguments to that and angles and what have you. But more importantly, we've got about kind of 10 minutes or so left on this stream. We're going to talk to Tip Top Tottenham, my guy with the microphone. How are you? Tell us how you felt about that big 3 points today, mate.
Barnaby, great to see you. Great to see you as well, Amir. You guys have been doing a great job. It's tough to follow up that segment as well. That was an amazing segment.
Oh, the man, Philly came like a bolt from the blue there with all that positivity, eh?
Yes, so I'm gonna add on to some of that positivity.
Good.
I'm not exactly sure what the copy of the game looked like where you guys are at, but in America, for most people, they would see that it was in Nashville, the Premier League Fan Fest. They held an event there, and there was it was a 2-day event. So obviously today and yesterday. And I just wanted to say, like, to all of our fans out there watching this stream, there are so many Spurs fans here in America, and I was like completely blown away by how many people I was ended up seeing. It was very, very, very awesome to see. I'm completely buzzing. I'm so happy that I can't provide today as much tactical analysis just because it felt like it was a fever dream the last like 2-3 hours. I've never seen so many Tottenham fans at one place at one time. Van de Ven, I was just speechless when I saw his goal. I was like, the only thing you can really say after seeing that is world class. I mean, truly, what a finish! He's an unbelievable player.
For me, he's got to be there or thereabouts for Young Player of the Year, I would have thought, in the Premier League this season.
I think he's got to be number one.
And maybe in that kind of Team of the Year that they do at the end of the season. But other than Mickey van de Ven, what do you think got us over the line today after an average first half?
That's an interesting question. I would say our quality just shone through in the end, I think. Forest, they're the type of side that's going to look to sit back, especially when the game is tied 1-1 and are completely content with getting the point and waiting to counter and sitting back. And so I wasn't really that surprised with how the game unfolded today, because in the second half we've been proven to score a lot of goals, I feel, and that's just kind of a trend that's been continuing. And at the same time, every time we've scored 2 goals this season, I believe in the Premier League, we've won. And so once we had scored the second goal, I was incredibly happy. And then the third, and I was like, oh, this is the party. Yeah, I'm still completely buzzing.
Yeah, I just want to say one more thing, actually, just thinking about it out loud, is, we've talked a little bit about how tired we make teams in the second half. And that is a result of us having the ball all the time and probing over and over and over. And if you think about it, with the flip side, which is when we were playing under Jose Mourinho and we had a good start and we'd go 1-0 up in games and then we'd started winning. But as soon as we stopped winning, it became clear that actually sitting on the edge of your own 18-yard box, having gone 1-0 up, is pretty much impossible to do for an entire 90 minutes. And I would say, especially now that most games go to 100 or 105 minutes, there's so much more chance of you winning these games if you are proactive and on the front foot and in possession of the ball the majority of the game than vice versa. And that's why I think things like that have to be thought of. Even when we have a bad half or we lose a game, actually, we're going to win so many more games than we don't as a result of this type of system.
100%. And I think that you're seeing the fruits of that labor come off it in the games, right? I can think of, if you take your mind back, cast your mind back to that game, think about the balls that Werner put in, the ones that didn't succeed, that were just a whisker away from being a goal. I can remember the save that the keeper made from Johnson's one. Johnson as well could have put in a few great balls. Nobody gambled. Werner put in another great ball. Johnson didn't gamble. So the way we're playing really does put the other team on the back foot and allow us to dominate the game. Where my issue is that we're not doing it throughout the whole 90 minutes. We can do it for 60 minutes. We can do it for 55. I want to see, by the end of the season, a complete performance where we slay the dragon to the end, 4-5, and we don't even give them a sniff like we did today with letting Forest back into the game. In terms of Ange's game management, how did you feel we got on today?
That's a good question. I feel Ange, a lot of people have talked about this a little bit ago, but when the squad came out and the lineups came out, I was looking at the bench compared to, that dreadful like 2-month period where we were going through an injury crisis compared to now. It is really, really exciting. The quality that we have to be able to come off the bench. I think that Ange made all of the right decisions, to be honest. And I kind of written Højbjerg off a little bit, like a lot of the fan base. And I know there's some avid Højbjerg supporters, so that may frustrate them a little bit. But I think today he really, really proved himself to show his quality. And I really hope that he can build on this performance and we can start seeing, this type of creativity and decisiveness from Højbjerg more in the future.
Yeah, I just wonder whether, what to answer Amir's question about how do we get a kind of 90-minute consistent performance, I wonder if we're only a proper brilliant number 6 and a game-changing kind of somebody. When I say game-changing, somebody who can do something a little bit different away from that, and that's going to take another window or two, but let's see what happens. Okay, just talking before I let you go, because we're going to have about 5 minutes left and we're going to have one more caller after you, mate. Newcastle away. Obviously got some bad memories there from last season, from the Christian Stellini reign. What's your prediction for that game?
So quickly before I get into the prediction, I just wanted to say that when you look at the players that Ange has chosen to sign, since he started at the club, there's been a way more quality signings than not. And so I think that we really just need to stick with him and give him the windows that he needs to really take us to where we want to be, because I believe, at the end of the day, he's going to make the best decision, and he's proven to be successful in his targets. So a couple of windows and we really could be where we want to be. But Newcastle away, yes, I know that the players are really going to be thinking about how the game unfolded there last year and are really going to want to get a result. So I'm going to say 2-1.
Okay, we've had a few 3-2s. We've had a 4-2. Now we've got a 2-1. But everyone feeling very confident.
Feeling good.
Thank you so much for calling in, mate. Have a great rest of your week, and speak to you after the game on Saturday, I hope.
Yes, I'll call in. Thank you guys so much. Check me out Tip Top Tottenham YouTube.
Yes, guys, make sure you go and subscribe to Tip Top Tottenham on YouTube. And he's making some great content over there. So just before we get our last caller on, and I think we may have left the best till last, let's have a look at a couple of comments. Well, I'll tell you what, I got a comment from my girlfriend on WhatsApp, and she said she loved Philly.
Philly to me was like a thunderbolt. He was like that Mickey van der Ven screamer earlier. He came out of left field.
He was
just full of
positivity, but also
poised.
Brought a dog into play as well. What's not to like? But before we go, Stell from Tottenham Away. Make sure you guys go and subscribe to Tottenham Away if you're not already. Stellios is here. How are you doing, mate? Good to see you.
Yeah, good guys. How you doing, Amir? How you doing, Barnaby? Hope you're both well.
Yeah, doing all right, mate.
Yes,
doing
mate.
all right.
Yes, mate. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm I'm delighted. I won £75.
Oh yeah, what was the bet?
So, on my channel on a Thursday or Friday, we do like predictions, and I predicted 3-0 Arsenal to beat Brighton and 3-1 Spurs to beat Forest. So it's the first time I've got both right. So there you go.
Nice.
Bit of money.
Wow, there you go.
Happy
Okay,
days.
and
pints on Stell.
Pints on sale, yeah. So tactically and in terms of how you felt about the game today, mate. Why did we win that game? What did we need to do a bit better? Do you think?
Yeah, look, we beat them 2-0 away from home with 10 men. So we were never going to lose to Nottingham Forest. I know some fans get a bit worried because it's the kind of game with well, yeah, okay. Well, it's not just you, Barnaby. There's a lot of fans that get worried when we play these lower teams. But for me, I'm not worried against any low team. Burnley, Sheffields, Forests, Palace. We will beat all of these teams because we're just a better team. We've got better players and we play attacking football. The only time we struggle is if they low block us and they're very good at low blocking and they've got a couple of players that can punish us up top. Classic example is Wolverhampton Wanderers. When they set up right, they're disciplined and they've got quality up front that can punish us. But that's not Nottingham Forest. They don't really have those players. But I think it kind of went how I thought it would go. One half, not great. Another half, complete dominance. Maybe should have got a few more goals. But
yeah,
I feel that Spurs are definitely going to get top 4. I've said that all season long. From the end of October, not all season long, that's a lie. From the end of October, I've been consistent. Even when I've come on and I've said, if we sign Timo Werner, I'm done, Ange out. And I stick to that. I haven't changed my stance. But I totally believe we will get top 4 this year because after that 10-game start, we had such a great start to the season. Man United and Chelsea are not the teams that they've been in the past. So where are Spurs going to finish worst case, knowing that those two are out of the race? At worst, 6th place. But then when you see Newcastle and Brighton not being able to handle the Premier League and European football at the same time, it opened the door for us. So for me, because Villa have got Europe and they've got a tough run in the same as us, we will get top 4 this year, and Spurs will be in the Champions League next season. And for Ange Postecoglou, that's a solid start to a first season. If you're not going to win a domestic trophy, but you get Champions League, which is the second best thing, I guess, that's a solid start with no Harry Kane. So, yeah, look, these performances are truly deserved. I've got no negatives to say about these kinds of results. I've got some concerns going forward though, because I don't want us to be a top 4 team, and even Ange is saying it. Okay, Ange Postecoglou is saying the same thing. So the things that I've been saying for 10 years, the manager's now saying it. And all the fans that had a go at me saying, oh, you expect this, you expect that, you don't understand this. Well, the manager is now saying it. I think we need some ruthless changes if we're going to be a team that challenges for the Premier League or can win a European trophy or win an FA Cup.
But when you say ruthless changes, still, what does that mean in terms of ruthless changes? In terms of who we're bringing in, or what do you mean by ruthless changes?
Okay. The entire attack for me is not good enough. I don't buy into it. I'm not one of these that just says, do you know what? Yeah, I can see potential. Or do you know what? Give it time. I'm not one of those.
Okay.
When I look at this system, if you look at the teams that have ever played with the front 3 in the Premier League, who have been really good, I would say the best team I've seen play with the front 3 is Liverpool under Klopp 2-3 years ago. That they were frightening. And you know what? That's probably the closest to what Spurs are trying to do, because they were the most aggressive pressing team I've seen in the Premier League. And Spurs, we have the highest turnovers from pressing the ball. We are the best in the league at that. So if we're going to keep that up and then push it to the next level, really, you've got to look at a benchmark that you can try and replicate. Liverpool had Mane, Firmino and Salah. You're not going to convince me, maybe you can convince others, but you're not going to convince me we have got players of that caliber at this club right now. Maybe 1 or 2 might get there, but I don't think we've got players of that caliber. The season Liverpool won the league, Mane scored 20 goals, Salah scored 20 goals, Firmino scored 10. They each got between 10 to 8 assists as well. So between them, you're looking at 80 goal contributions just from the front three. That's the kind of level we need to try and aspire to. And I don't see us doing it with these players. So when you know, talk about Timo Werner, you know, good squad player, I don't see that. I see someone that once in a while can put in a really good cross on the ground, but that's it. For the other 88 minutes, he runs around, he won't beat a man, he'll chase a ball, track back, smash one over the bar, miss the target. But because he's better than Brian Hill, we're getting a bit excited. Timo Werner's not the answer, guys. He's not. And today you see Brennan Johnson, who I'm not going to criticise. I'm not going to go in on him. But you see Brennan Johnson today. He didn't really do much against the team that's 17th. And I think we need players that are more dynamic, more creative, more explosive. Maybe I'm asking for too much as a Spurs fan, but Kane and Son in their prime with one more, that's what I'm talking about. If we want to beat City, Arsenal,
no, I
Liverpool,
hear you still. I hear you still. I completely hear you, and I'm the one here calling for the big signings as well. You know, up top and on the wings, and you know the likes of Creature coming in. It's players like that I want. I can't not agree with you there. But I don't know if I can actually see it happening, right? We heard Anne saying that he doesn't want to spend 70, 80 million on a player. But sometimes maybe that is just what's needed, right? Rice, 100 million, Van Dijk, Van Persie. You see teams that have gone on to win things spend huge bucks on certain positions that they needed. Why can we not do that?
Well, we can. But that Ange is basically speaking on behalf of Levy. That's a Daniel Levy comment. Ange accepted the terms of what it is to be a manager at Spurs. And there was no way we were going to recruit a manager who didn't do it, let's call it the Spurs way. Barnaby said that when you look at the financials, it kind of explains why we can't spend £100 million on a player. I disagree, because we spent this season just as much as Arsenal. And after the January window, we spent more. We spent £220 million. The money is there, guys. We are spending big money.
We did sell Harry Kane for 90 million minimum, though, didn't we? So that's some of it.
Yeah, and that's a good argument, Barnaby. But the season before, we spent 200 million on Conte, and the season before that, we spent 160.
There is money there.
Mourinho.
There's money there.
The money's there.
There's money there.
Without a doubt. Otherwise, what was the point of building the stadium, right? The money's there. The issue we have is, do we want to spend the budget on 7 or 8 players, or do we want to spend the budget on 3 or 4 really good, proven players? I have no control over it. I know what I want to see, but I feel that if we go down this 7 or 8 player route, you're going to get 2 really, really good players, like a Van de Ven and a Vicario. You're going to get another 2 players that we say are good, but they're inconsistent. You know, what's kind of happening with them. Then you're going to get another 2 that turn out to be crap. And then another 2 that we're going to call potential, one for the future. So really, you only end up with 3 players that actually impact the team significantly. And the other 5, we're arguing over them. We're arguing, you know, why did we sign Blizz? Is Timo good enough? Should he be at the club? And we're arguing over Richarlison. Is he good enough? Is he the answer? We shouldn't really be having arguments over players. We never argue about Van de Ven. We never argue about Vicario. Okay, if one doesn't work out, that's normal. Every club makes a mistake. Every club signs a player, you think, oh, what have we done? But I just feel that we need to change this pattern of transfers where we actually say, right, there's your 180 million. Go and get 3 or 4 players that take us to a different level. Go and sign 4 players of the quality of Van de Ven for the number 6 role, for the striker role, for the attacking mid role as cover. You know, and then I think that then begins to make us a serious team that can challenge for trophies.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with a lot of what you're saying. I think the good news for you and that argument is that I think over the past 18 months or so, that does seem to be what they're doing. I mean, when you say, you know, you did kind of say, you know, nobody argued over Van de Ven or is arguing over Van de Ven or Vicario, but actually at the time I think people did. So I guess to some degree we've got to say, okay, the recruitment seems to be going in the right direction, and hopefully trust in that. One thing I'd say just about you know, just to back up my Timo Werner point, and it's subjective, so it's absolutely fine that we don't agree on this, but I would say that I'm not looking at Timo Werner as being a Sadio Mane. I'm looking at Timo Werner as being a Divock Origi, someone who can come off the bench and affect games sometimes, as Origi did for Liverpool sometimes. But in general, I think everybody agrees that Divock Origi was not of the level to be a starter for Liverpool. And I don't think Timo would be. But do I think it's possible we could get £10 million for Bryan Hill and pay 15 for Timo Werner and be in better shape and squad depth next season than we are at the moment?
Possibly.
Yeah, so that's where I'm coming from, really. But in terms of your...
Barnaby,
just one second, Still, just last thing. Just in terms of what you said about Mane and Firmino and Salah being stronger than where we are now, I completely agree.
Yeah, and I mean, look, the Timo thing is going to divide us. It's going to divide fans. I've made my opinion clear. If we sign him, I don't believe in this project. And people might think I'm super harsh. Shut up, Stell. Doesn't bother me. It's my view. But if Timo Werner is going to be our Origi, I'd rather not spend £15 million on him, put that money towards a position that we can maybe spend a bit more on now, that is going to be a better quality player, and bring through that Swedish kid, Bergvall, bring through Dane Scarlett. Daniel Levy said that we need to go back to our ways. We need to go back to the Tottenham way, and we need to start making the academy flourish. Well, bring them in. Don't spend the money on Timo. You've signed some young players. Back up your recruitment team. Trust the scouts that have brought these players in, and start them and make them your Origis.
Have you seen these kids though, Stell? Have you seen them play?
No, but I've seen Timo Werner play, Amir, and I struggle.
No,
bro.
I understand that. I understand that. No, I understand. I get where you're coming from. It's just the thing is, when it comes down to the kids and the academy and stuff, I don't know how many of them are actually ready to make that full step up. You know what I mean? I did go and see them. Yeah, you only need one or two. You only need one or two. That's right. And I do think there is space there for a couple of them to make that step up. I do think, though, however, pinning our hopes on the academy, I don't know if that's going to, help us advance us to the next stage.
Well, we it's not just the academy. We've signed young players. Like, we've spent money on Veliz. We spent money on this Swedish kid. We've spent money on players that aren't academy.
Yeah.
We've bought players from other academies because we think that they're that good. So,
oh yeah, you've got to give them a chance. You've got to play them. Bergvall has to play.
I'd rather they be the backup.
Oh, I'd happily. I just think that on the Werner thing, just my 2 cents on it. I think he's playing his way into the team. If you're asking me, still, if you keep coming on and you keep affecting games and you keep getting assists and you keep creating goals, and no one else is in that position stamping it down. Unfortunately, Solomon's out. Richie's now taken a knock. He's the only one really there, unless you stick Kula on the left, which is not his natural position. I think he's kind of playing his way into being bought, to be honest with you.
If he performs against Arsenal's, Liverpool's, Man City's, Chelsea's, Newcastle away, these big games coming up, I will come back on here and make a public apology to everyone.
There you go. That's what I was looking for, Barnaby. That's what I was sniffing for the whole time.
But if he doesn't, Amir, I want you to say, Stell, do you know what?
No problem. No problem.
Right.
Look,
Deal.
I tell you what, Stell.
Listen, I'm open-minded, right? Deal.
I get you. No, 100%. Let's see. It'll be very interesting to revisit that conversation come May.
Stell, mate, thank you so much for calling in. Honestly, go for it.
I know you want to go. I know you guys are busy. You've had a long day. I just want to say one last thing.
Yes, mate.
We need to sign a proper number 6, right? Bissouma is not a 6 for me.
No,
he's not a 6. He's not an 8. He's kind of in between both. Yeah. And Pape Sarr, we cannot put that on his shoulders. Nah. Today, I saw the same thing I've seen too many times before. The attacking forwards, the wide players, they do not give enough protection to the wing backs. And the wing backs, when they are pulled out wide, there's no defensive cover from the holding mid. So what happens is the centre back pulls out, and then you get this big gap between the centre backs.
Yeah, there's so much space.
And even then, Bissouma doesn't tuck into that gap.
Yeah, agreed.
We need to go and buy a proper number 6. And Højbjerg, guys, he's not the answer. And I'll tell you why. Coming off the bench, impact, maybe. But to start a game, you saw in the last 5 minutes, that ridiculous ball across the box, which nearly cost us.
Yeah.
Right. Højbjerg has always got that in him, and that is why he can't start and be the number 6 for us going forward. So
yes,
number 6.
We've talked about Palhinha. Have you got any other names in mind who you'd like to go? So also, Anana was mentioned. He seems to be being mentioned with Spurs a bit in the last few weeks, actually. What about you?
The player I would love at Spurs, and he is so like Moussa Dembele. Power, ball retention, skill is Mane Kone from Mönchengladbach. Absolute top draw player. A lot of clubs are going to be after him though, but he's going to be in that 50-60 million pound bracket. If you want a top 6, anyone watching this show, if you don't know who he is, type in Borussia Mönchengladbach, Mane Kone. What a player. He is so like Dembele, but I'll take Palhinha. He's Premier League proven.
He's in London already.
I don't know much about Kone, so I'm going to check him out. Stel, thanks for that intel, mate. And thank you for calling in, guys. Like I said at the beginning, go and follow Tottenham Away. They're doing some great content every single day. Stel, have a great rest of your weekend, mate. I'll speak to you soon.
Stel. Have a good week.
Take care, chaps.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
And guys, thank you at home for watching. We really appreciate it. If you're not already, make sure you subscribe to We Are Tottenham TV. Amir, you got a podcast they can follow you, bring it back out?
I do indeed. If you guys check out the Olive Branch podcast, you can search us up. You can also find us under our old name, the Open Peace podcast. Before that, you can also find us there. Be great if you came and gave us a sub. And do, of course, come and follow We Are Tottenham TV.
Yes, and also my YouTube handle is in the title at @BarnabySlater_, where I do daily the Spurred On podcast. Come and check me out there. But most importantly, it's been a good win for Spurs today. Lots of good talking points on this show. We'll be back for the Newcastle game next Saturday, 12:30 kickoff. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, Tom.